Welcome back, everybody. I got a little project to do on my ice house here, and as you can see, I got a small strip of lights here and here. And for the most part, it's gone all the way across the top rim and on the back here also. And I've got a controller here with a little rheostat where I can kind of control the level light on this thing. But I got to replace these lights here because something broke in the same spot almost, and it's cutting out the power to the other side. So I've got new lighting to put in here, so I just kind of want to go over it and show it to you and see what you think. And something you want to do, it's an easy little add-on to do it instead of spending the money on an ice house that might already have it incorporated into it. Should be an easy fix. It's just weather stripping type, waterproof LED lighting. These lights don't stick very well, so that's kind of why I've got some zip ties on here helping, so coming off is going to be easy, but getting on is a little bit more of a trouble, just trying to get everything to lay flat. But anyways, let's get to it. Well, as you see, I got everything kind of zip tied in. I just got to cut all those out and everything should come down. I'll go over the wiring on this thing too when I get it all put back together so you can kind of see what I got going on. Well, surprised that it actually stuck pretty good. I mean, it's pulling down. Got plenty of tack still left on it. There's that tack strip. Little adhesive on there, but nothing a little alcohol won't get off. So, get the back one done next. So I got these lights I found on Amazon. I'll have to look and see if I can find a link in the description or something like that. I don't know if I can get one in there. But it's a standard type of waterproof LED lighting. You can kind of see by looking at it, I suppose. It's got kind of a rubber thickness to it, so it's pretty rubbery actually. So all the LEDs are all embedded in that rubber right there. And there's an adhesive back tape on there, so once you get that in place, it sticks. And for the most part, it does stick pretty good on this, but like everything that's in the cold, adhesives don't work very well. And I've had issues with wanting to kind of fall down, and that's why it's zip tied in there also. All right, so I kind of pulled the old along with the new, and I stretched it out and got the same length as the old one is. There we go. Now I've got one that's ready to go on the front or back, I think, of the same size. Now, something I want to kind of go over too is you can kind of see there's these electrical cords that are on there. They're already pre-wired on there, and I had to add another set on the other wire. This set comes with these power connections right here, and that'll give you what you need so you can plug it in. But I didn't have it on the back one, so the easiest way to fix that was I went to a secondhand store that had a bunch of remote control toys and whatnot, and look for some controller adapters and stuff, and that's where I got a match to one of these that are on here. So I always picked up the same male and female basically, and I wired that in. So now I have one to connect on the front side, one to connect on the back side, and that's kind of how I make my connections, so I'm not having open lead wires coming off of it. Which, I mean, you could do that if you want to. I just figured having these clips right here makes it just go a lot faster. If you want to jump in the ice house and want to get in and out, turn the lights on and off, pack it up, whatever, just disconnect and I'm done. I'm not having to fiddle around with a bunch of wires and things like that. So it just tries to make things easier. All right, so if you notice something different, yeah, I went and got my hair cut. All right, so here's the LED strip, and there's an adhesive back to it, and that's what we'll kind of stick it on there to the ice house poles with. But on the end here, I've already trimmed the edge of it and spun the wires on here, and ran a piece of heat shrink tube over this. And the heat shrink tube that I'm using, it's pretty small, probably like around 1/4 inch or something like that. So what we're going to do is heat this up, and we don't want to put the lighter low into it and then set the heat, because if we do that, it's going to be all black and you don't want any of that. So it's important to use the heat on the lighter right up close to it and keep it moving around a little bit, just like that. That'll help keep things a little bit more watertight so you don't have any issues with it. Then just let it set. You can see it kind of did a little bit of blackness in there, but it's not too bad. Everything here looks pretty good. It stiffens it up quite a bit, and that helps a lot because these wires here are pretty flimsy. And this will give us a little bit more strength on it for the abuse that we're going to put this thing through. Now, I already cut some smaller pieces, so we'll take these and we'll just kind of slide these things over the ends right here for both the positive and the negative. And then I'm going to wire this to the other end of it. And what that is this is the end right here. It's just a standard connection that comes with this kit. Typical what you see on little RC toys and things like that. We'll make the connection on there and then we'll get ready to solder it. All right, so here I got these helping hands. I'm holding my wires in place. And what I got going on here is I got a short lead of some of this heat shrink on both positive and negative wires. And then I got one long one on this end right here. And so the plan is to put solder on each one of the positive negatives, and I kind of interwound the wire so each one's kind of independent. Once that's all soldered, then I'll take and I'll slide each one of these heat shrink tubes over each one of those and then heat set that. And then when I'm done with that, then I'll take this piece right here and slide that over the whole entire assembly so it gets over the first one we did, and then it gets on the original part of the black material of the binding that's on this, and then that'll set it all up. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give this a shot trying to solder it. Now, by no means do I consider myself good at soldering, so if this comes out crude, I do apologize, but this will definitely give it a better bond. There we go. Just got to get some heat into it, lay some solder into that. That looks pretty good. There we go. There's one done. Here. There. That looks pretty good. All right, now we can go ahead and set the heat shrink tube over each one of the positive and negative wires. And I'm going to keep my fingers on this edge of it because I don't want that heat shrink to heat that up because it's going to make it impossible to slide this thing back over it. So hopefully I don't burn my hand in any way. That would suck. But we'll get the heat on here and see if we can get this to set up a little bit. All right. I'll have to try to be careful and move back to this edge of it right here. Do the same. It's warm. There we go. We'll just slide this over the whole thing now. There we go. Just have to pull on the end of that heat shrink tube a little bit. And I want to get that covered up on here just so I can create more of a watertight bond potentially. Keep the heat going on there, kind of keep it moving a little bit. But that worked out pretty good. You can kind of see where the original lap over goes, and you can see where I did the fix and the repair to bring them together again. And that's pretty much a watertight connection right there. I'm pretty confident that I don't have any problems with this. And it's not like it's going to be sitting in water or anything like that, but I don't have to worry about the elements, humidity, anything like that getting to it, screwing up the connection on here that's going to inhibit any of the connection that I have on them lights. So let's go ahead and get this thing installed now. I think we're good to go. All right, here's the LED wire lights that I got going. This is the original. When I cut it in half, this is the one that was factory wired on there just the way it was. On the end of this one, I had the whole length of this right here. Like I said, this one right here was wired onto it. The full 10 feet, I think what it was, there was a positive and negative wire lead on that. So I think that's so you can wire up another one if you choose to. Well, I decided to put another one of these on the other end of it and then cut it in half, and now I have two pieces that are pretty much identical. And for the connection on this, when I bought this whole kit, it comes with this little rheostat right here. You can just, turn it off, turn it on, it'll brighten it up. So, and I had to split the wires already in here ahead of time. Did the same thing what I did on that wiring harness for those LED lights. I just split them, wired them back in, and that gave me two more connections the same way so I can utilize the same type of a harness system on there. And on that end right here, it's just another positive, negative type connection again with this whole thing. I got the positive, negative alligator clips on here. They just connect onto a standard battery, 12 volt, and then that'll run the whole entire system. So that was the hardest part about putting this whole thing together, and that's kind of what I got going on right here. We're just gonna go ahead and stick these things right on the pipe that's on here, and then when I'm done, I'm gonna go ahead and zip tie everything back in, because I don't want anything to come loose, because there is an adhesive back on here, but it's not the greatest. I mean, it sticks, but I mean, in all the weather conditions, packing this thing up, putting it down and so forth, it's not gonna hang in there. So zip ties are gonna keep everything together. Now that we're ready to put the wires on here, I wanna make sure I get the same amount of equal distance going down on each one of my sidebars for the front and back. And to do that, I'll just put the end and the start end together, and then I'll just kind of find the middle of it, and that's what's right here. So I'll split the backing right here, and then I'm gonna start with that, and I'm gonna work my way down, and then I'll kind of work my way down the other side, and that'll lay everything in equally the way I need it. Now I'm ready to stick it up there, just based on the center right here. Sticks pretty good, because there's still a little bit of that old adhesive kind of still stuck on that thing. Then I'm just gonna track this thing along. I don't wanna pull too tight, because I don't wanna stretch the wires on this thing, and I also don't want it to pull back. So I wanna kind of leave this thing in a natural state where it just wants to just lay in there without a lot of tension on it. So just kind of push it right in there without pulling too hard on it. I mean, you can see that it's kind of sagging right here, but the way I'm laying this thing in there, and just follow it down. There we go. Now these wires that are on here, they're gonna stay in place. It's not even gonna cause any issues. I've done this before, like I said, and I'm only updating this because over time, they just start to wear out. Yeah, so I think it's kind of a waste of money myself to buy an ice house that has pre-lit wires into it, because eventually they're gonna burn out. And if they do, now you're just stuck with those wires in there that are useless. And what's the next way to fix it? Wire your own. So you might as well just wire your own. Save yourself a little bit of money without having to spend that on a new ice house. I mean, obviously some of them come, you know, pre-done no matter what, so you don't have an option, but which is fine. But if you're thinking, oh, I want to buy an ice house because I want pre-lit wires in it, trust me, man, don't even waste your time with it. It's not even worth it. There. All those wires are stuck on there pretty good. There, before I get ready to put the back on here, I just want to show you kind of what's going on here. You can kind of see it's just kind of sitting right on the middle of that right here. It sticks pretty good. But the big thing is on the back right here, I don't want to have the wires facing down, so I kind of want to have them facing forward. So it's important when you start these right here that you also get the same direction you're looking at, because you want to cast that light towards you on the floor. I'll start in the middle on this one here again. Just keep laying it in, don't pull it too tight. You know, the biggest problem is going to be these darn corners, and you're going to fight them no matter what a little bit, because the rubber, you know, LED lights has a little bit of memory for what it is, but that's where the zip ties help come in play, just to kind of keep everything so that way it doesn't pull apart. It goes on pretty easy. Definitely not a hard job to do by any means at all. And it is amazing when you have LED lights, and you have a lot of LED lights in these ones right here when you do it this way. You know, in comparison to the ones that you get built into some of the sleds, I don't know for sure offhand, you know, what the lumens are, what they claim on them, but trust me, these things are going to be super bright when they're all done. It's pretty impressive. I've even thought about not going with a cool white or whatever I have on this, but it's a white light. You can get colored if you want, but I'm not big into color, but maybe sometimes that helps kind of diminish some of the, you know, light that gets pushed through the ice. But I turn the volume of that light down real low, so that way it doesn't really have too much of an interference at all. All right, now we're ready to do some zip tying. And for this, we're gonna wanna put them probably about every 6 inches, because I've actually had these things start to pull away. And you know, when these things get cold and then it gets warm in here, it develops condensation. Over time, the adhesive doesn't seem like it wants to work as well as it should. And that's where having the zip ties makes it so that way nothing comes loose. And it helps keep things together, because as soon as it warms back up, they kind of stick back on, but you don't want anything pulling off and all of a sudden your LED wire lights are coming down and you did all that work for nothing. So this is a good way of keeping everything together. Now the trick is also here on the starts of these things and on the end, I'm gonna wanna put probably 2 of these things on there, because I don't want one to break and then all of a sudden I run into a problem with this thing screwing up. All right, you can see right here, this is the connection point right there. I don't want to leave this thing, you know, zip tied in this location right here so I can pull and make my connection, because every time I do that, this thing here is pulling away from that wire right there, and I don't want that. I'd rather keep the zip tie connection on the main wire of the loom, so that way the LED stays protected. And then when you get ready to do these, you also want to make sure that when you're doing that, you're also leaving the connection of this butt end of that zip tie. You want to leave that facing the inside. And the reason is because I don't want this right here rubbing on the outside of the house, because over time, when the wind is pushing on this thing, I don't want to wear any spots on there. So that's right here is pretty good. So all I got to do is snip that connection off right here, and we're good. Now that one is all connected. Now I'll start another one right above it just to be safe. There we go. So by having two on here, now all the work I do yanking on this thing isn't going to have any infringement on what I got going on with the LED light. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw all the zip ties on just like I did, and then I'll catch you as soon as this thing's done, and then we're going to turn this thing on. You guys can check it out. All right, now for the final reveal. Just gotta put our alligator clips on the positive and negatives. Just like that. Simple. I mean, you can make a little harness, do a battery box, whatever you want. I mean, this works pretty good. I had a battery box that worked great. Then just take these connections, plug them in, and you're all set. Now, turn the lights on, and you got that nice, cool, bright color. Nice and bright. Make it nice and romantic if you want, you know. It gives you just a little bit of light. And I can hardly see anything here with just what I have on here, but once I bring it up, that's about perfect right there, where I can see very low light, but crank it up real bright, and you got plenty of light. Right, well, that was an easy project, putting the LED lights in here, and wasn't very expensive either. I'll have a link in the description for everything I have in this. This rheostat thing here is a little old, but I think I can find it. If I can find something like it, I'll put it in there. But this, all in all, didn't cost me very much, and it gives you a lot of lighting options in here for giving yourself plenty of light for whatever you need. You can lower it down, bring it back up, so you're not stuck to one full brightness. Anyways, if you like what you've seen, do me a favor, hit that like, I appreciate it. And if you want to see more of these things, hit that subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Keep your hook set and rod bent. See you, bye.